Hey everybody, welcome to Sana Q&As. This is Meredith Miller, your coach from Inner Integration, reading your questions about recovering from relationships with psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, and borderline personalities. So I'm going to read this question today. It's a little bit longer and so will be the answer, but I'm going to do this because I feel like this question is going to resonate with so many people. I feel like a lot of people have the same dilemma that they're trying to understand about codependency recovery. So this person writes, about 7-8 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out about narcissistic abuse after this relationship and studying it all. I thought I had it all back together after losing almost everything: relationship, myself, work, house, etc. Then, in 2013, forgotten memories about my mother surfaced after severe threatening at my work in psychiatry during therapy for PTSD. I'm trying to better explain the deeply ingrained anger, distrust, and core-lonelyness that becomes the result of being brought up by a severely cruel, narcissistic mother and an enabling, scared father. I realize now I was damaged and alone, trying all my life to repair the damage with my parents, especially my mother, and all kinds of wrong people later on, repeating the drama again and again. There is a hole in the soul that cannot be filled only with self-love. Loving yourself has no worth if no one is loving you for it and no one is loving you back. That's why self-love is not the core problem, in my opinion. Not being loved, used, and abused creates the problem. This was and is my objection with the view Ross Rosenberg and many others take. I know no one can heal another soul. You have to do the work yourself. But without some love and understanding from others, I believe it's totally impossible for victims of this kind of abuse to recover only by telling them they have to respect and love themselves more. That's what they often have shown fighting for all their lives, let alone to tell them they are victims of a dance they chose to dance. No victim chose to dance this dance. Choosing is a conscious act. The abuser chose the victim. So probably by now a lot of you are like, yeah, okay, really tuning in because you have similar question, right? What is that? You know, like the self-love thing, what happened in childhood with a person, a parent, probably your mother, not loving you in the way that you needed to be loved. So I want to bring up this metaphor about dance, which is the metaphor that Ross Rosenberg uses in his book, The Human Magnet Syndrome. And I think this is going to help you understand the choice and the power that you do have in that dance moving forward. So when I was 19, I moved to Philadelphia and I discovered salsa dancing, and it was like my favorite thing. So it was like 4 or 5 nights a week I was out dancing salsa. I was young, I was able to do it and still work and everything. So what I discovered was that I had to start learning how to say no in that process. So when you're the woman, it's like, you know, you kind of wait around for a guy to ask you out onto the dance floor. And, you know, sometimes there would be really great dancers and I would go out and it would be awesome. And we were dancing and like song after song went by and that was awesome. And I just chose to keep dancing because it was awesome until basically, you know, we both got tired or we said thank you or whatever. Then there would be the guys who would ask me to dance who weren't really good dancers. You know, they weren't awful and they weren't like disrespectful. They just weren't really good dancers. So maybe after a song or so, you know, I would say thank you and I would excuse myself and go away. And this was really hard for me at first. I didn't, you know, it was like hard to even realize like I had the right to say no thank you or to draw that line and say, okay, I'm done now. And I'm going to choose to get off the dance floor because I'm not really enjoying this, right? And then there would be the guys every now and then who would ask me to dance and maybe I didn't observe whatever they were doing on the dance floor ahead of time. And they pulled me out there and like immediately I sensed that I wasn't safe. You know, the way they were flinging me across the dance floor and like moving into other people or just throwing me so hard that I would almost lose my sense of groundedness and center trying to recover from a turn or a toss or something. And just remember being like terrified, right? And feeling like I was stuck at first, like I had to keep doing this dance with this person. And I didn't feel safe, right? Until the moment where I realized like, whoa, I do have a choice here. I don't like this dance. I chose to get on the dance floor, sure. I gave it a try, and you know what? It's not going okay, and I don't feel safe with this person. This person's not being respectful of me or anybody else in this space. So, I would just stop the dance in the middle of the song then and not even wait till the end of the song because my life was in danger. He could throw me in the ground. I could get hurt. I could hurt somebody else. Why would I want to stay in that kind of situation, right? So I started learning how to say no to the dance. And then the next time that person would ask me to dance, I'd say, no, thank you, before even getting on the dance floor, because I already learned that lesson. I didn't want to get back out there with that person that I didn't feel safe with. So let that metaphor kind of get in there a little bit, because it's not that different than entering the dance of the kind of dynamic that a codependent and a narcissist would have in a relationship. So it's not about blame, it's about self-responsibility. And essentially, self-responsibility is your tool to take your power back. It's like when you realize you have a choice, right? Just like on the dance floor, I realized I had a choice. And so I took my power back and I excused myself from the dance and got off. So yes, in childhood, you were not loved by your mother, right? Some of you, maybe it was your father. Some of you, maybe it was your mother, right? You were not loved by your mother, who was like the most important person in the world who's supposed to love a child, right? And so that created a devastating repercussion in your psyche and your sense of trust, self-worth, self-esteem, self-expression, right? And that wasn't your fault, but you can do something about it now, right? You can't change the past, but now you can take the reins of control over your destiny and recognize that you do have a choice in every moment. So also in this email, it was kind of longer and I abbreviated it. This person said, something about how, the narcissist is self-loving and, this can't be what the codependent is lacking, right? So I think that's maybe another misconception, is that often we think, narcissism is self-love, but it's not self-love. A narcissist does not love themselves. They're not capable of self-love or loving anyone else. Narcissism is self-absorption, self-obsession, and not even with the real self, but with this image that they believe themselves to be, right? Just like in the mythology, Narcissus was looking at his reflection in the water and he fell in love, right? So much. He became so obsessed with his image that he lost his will to live for anything else, and he just stared at his image until he died. Narcissists are not capable of actual love. So it's really important to recognize that self-love is not like the narcissist. That is a whole other thing. Self-love, I believe, is a natural result that comes from self-care. Right now, I'm still working on finishing up a new digital course that I'm creating on self-care. It's coming soon, I promise. I know I've been promising this for months and months, but what turned out is, like, as the product was developing, I was actually developing myself. I was working on greater levels of self-care, leading by example, so that I can bring you something that I'm entirely 100% in authenticity and alignment with, that will help you to take over your self-care in new ways. Like, self-care is so much more than just eating, exercising, hydrating, right? It's so much more. And a lot of the work has to do with our mindset and with our attention and where and how we utilize our attention. So, when you're loving and respecting yourself as you're taking care of yourself, right? Your subconscious starts to realize, like, okay, this is what it feels like to respect myself versus putting myself aside and always putting someone else's needs first, always working on getting someone else's approval or pleasing other people before taking care of my own needs. When I'm continually doing this, compulsive behavior of putting other people's needs first, of course, I don't respect myself. Of course, I'm not taking care of myself. Like when you're on the airplane and the pressure in the cabin goes out and the oxygen mask come down, they tell you what? Put on your mask first, even if you have children and elderly next to you, you put your mask on first so that you don't pass out. Because if you pass out, you're not going to help anybody else. You can't take care of anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself. But this is something that we didn't learn growing up, because we learned growing up that we always had to take care of the narcissistic parent. We always had to put their needs first. We always had to rescue them from whatever they were going through, whatever their self-absorption was, right? So we weren't allowed to put ourselves first. We weren't allowed to meet our own needs. We didn't even learn how to meet our own needs, right? So now as an adult, you got to get the reins of that and recognize that you and only you can do that for yourself. You know, the only other alternative is to wait around the rest of your life for your mom, if she were still alive, to somehow have the epiphany that she should have actually loved you and start loving you. But that's probably not going to happen, right? Because narcissists generally don't change. I've never met one that did. You know, even confronting my own mother, she was unable to even admit what she did. You know, it was sort of like the political form of gaslighting. I don't recall doing that. I don't know what was so bad, sort of thing, right? So you can't keep going back there for it, because if you keep going back to the source of your pain to heal your pain, you're just going to be met with the same pain. And like you said in your message, keep attracting these same relationship dynamics as an adult. If you're still waiting for someone else to come rescue you from your life, to come love you out of that hole of loneliness, you have to do it for yourself. So the more you take care of yourself, the more your subconscious realizes, I love myself. Like, I love myself enough to take care of myself. I respect myself enough to put my needs first, to meet my emotional needs, to take care of myself, so that I'm not depending on someone else to meet those needs, or hoping and praying that someone's going to come around and save me or rescue me, or that narcissistic parent is one day going to have this epiphany and wake up and give me that love that they never gave me since a child, that every child deserves. And it's really unfortunate that that didn't happen. But you got to recognize that to stay in that mentality of, well, it's all outside myself and the problem is all outside myself, so I can't fix anything, you're going to spend a lifetime in disempowerment. You're going to spend a lifetime as a victim mentality, because you haven't taken your power back to realize, what can I do now? So when you are loving and respecting yourself, it's so obvious when someone else doesn't love and respect you. That's why it all starts with self-love. That's why you couldn't see it before. When you met this person and you went out into this dance, or, you weren't aware of what kind of dance it was, and you just kept dancing and kept trying to fix it and kept trying to go on, right? Because you didn't really understand what was happening, right? And so you didn't actually love yourself, because if you had loved and respected yourself, you would have immediately recognized, like, whoa, this person doesn't respect me when they do this and that and the other. And then when we talk about that, they completely put, the responsibility outside themselves, maybe turn around and blame it on you, or blame it on someone else, or guilt trip you for bringing it up, or rationalizing and minimizing and couching why they did it to make you doubt yourself more, right? So if you're actually loving and respecting yourself, that inner alarm is going to go, whoa, I'm getting off the dance floor. This is not my dance. This is not my dance partner. This partner doesn't respect me. This partner doesn't love me. I love myself more. And there is truth to, the adage that says, a person will stay in an abusive relationship as long as the other person, their partner, is disrespecting them a little bit less than they disrespect themselves. And I know that's really harsh to hear. When you think about it, you're like, well, I don't disrespect myself. But actually you do, if your compulsive nature is putting other people first, meeting other people's needs first. I know it looks like this really noble act. It looks like this good, compassionate, kind thing to do, to put other people first, but that will only lead to your detriment. You got to take care of yourself. You are priority number one in your life. And sometimes I hear from people that say, but this is like, it's so hard to do. Like, how do I put myself first? Like, I feel guilty for putting myself first. Yeah, because of the programming, right? So maybe you need to reframe it so that self-care, instead of being this thing you feel guilty about putting yourself first, you start reframing it as self-respect. responsibility. And you have a responsibility to take care of you. It's no one else's responsibility to do that for you. When you were a child, it was your mother's responsibility. It's no longer, because you're an adult now. And so as an adult, you are your number one responsibility. So self-care, self-love, right? Because self-care leads to self-love naturally. Self-care is self-responsibility. It's taking care of you so that you can be the best you to show up to take care of other people in whatever way that you enjoy doing that. You know, maybe you're actually a caretaker and that's your job. You get paid to take care of people. Maybe you're a mother yourself and you have several little, children at home to take care of. And so you have a lot of people to take care of, but it's really important to remember that you have to take care of you, because if you wake up tomorrow and you are sick and injured and incapacitated, who's going to take care of your children? How are you going to take care of your children if you're not well? So let that be a wake-up call to you. If you're in this mentality of, well, I got to put them first and I got to put them first, you got to take care of you first, because the better you feel, the more time you carve in, maybe when they're sleeping or they're doing something, you carve in this time to take care of you so that you can be the best mama you can be. Maybe you have a really important job to you, right? And like what you do really matters to you, and you feel like you matter to people and that people are counting on you, right? So if you get sick or you get injured because you're not taking care of yourself, who's going to help those people? Who's going to show up for those people if you can't, right? So look at it like a responsibility to take care of yourself. If you're having a hard time wrapping your mind around this idea of guilt, like the feeling of guilt that comes up when you think about putting yourself first and taking care of your needs first, right? We're not talking about whims and over the top demands and things like this. We're not talking about that. We're talking about basic self-care needs so that you can be well. So stop waiting for someone else to rescue you from your life, to validate who you are, to love you out of the pit of loneliness. There is no savior. You are the one you have been waiting for. And perhaps that early life wounding was placed in your path for a reason, not because you deserved it, but because that was part of your soul contract to awaken you to your life calling in some way, to who you are and what you're here to do for people. I don't know what that is for you, but that's something that you want to look into. What is your purpose? How do you bridge the gap from the trauma that took place to your purpose, to your life calling? Because in the trauma is where we find the purpose. Like, that is the paradox of life. If everything were amazing and just easy going, you would be settling into this place of complacency and boredom and not really have any challenges that shook you up out of your daily ruts to think about things in a new way, to look at things in a new way, to take new actions and get new results, to really feel this burning passion and drive to do something with your life, to be something that you feel called to be, to leave some sort of legacy on this planet after you die. What is that? What is it that is so important to you? You get out of bed every morning. What is it that matters so much to you that you would fight to death for that? What is that? Because that's going to start leading you down that path of understanding what is your purpose, and recognize that your purpose isn't some goal, some future destination that one day you arrive at. Your purpose is something that you live intentionally in every moment of every day. It's the reason you wake up every day. It's the reason you keep going every day. It's the reason you face obstacles and adversity and you summon the inner strength and courage to get up and do something. And then later you look back and you say, damn, look what I did. Right? Look what I overcame. And that's your calling right now, is to look at your past and recognize that's where you came from. That happened to you. That was awful. You didn't deserve that, and that wasn't your fault. But if you want to empower yourself forward in life now, you have to take the power back, taking 100% responsibility for your life choices now and moving forward. You have to believe in yourself, especially in those moments when no one else believes in you and you don't see any other reason to believe. that is your moment. That is exactly the moment. I'm getting chills when I think of it. That's exactly the moment where you need to tap into your belief in yourself. You can do it. You can heal yourself. You can live the life that you know you were born to live. You can discover what that reason, that why, that purpose is that maybe you haven't gotten in contact with yet. Right? And you're right. Sometimes like it just takes just one person believing in you to be what you need to lift yourself up and off the ground, to start believing in yourself, like just to relight that fire, the pilot inside your heart and your soul to keep you going. Like that person cannot sustain you, and that person cannot hold your hand the whole way and believe in you so much that you believe in yourself. But maybe you just want that to be that spark, right? That reignites the pilot. Sometimes, I don't know what your house is like. We have like sometimes these old heating units, and there's like this little pilot flame in there, and it just stays lit. Even when you're not heating the house, this little flame just stays lit. And then when you turn the heat on, it kicks up, and then the heat starts kicking up, right? But sometimes like during the summertime where it's like not attended for a while, that flame might burn out. And, it can be really scary to like get in there, in the darkness and like relight that flame, that pilot flame, right? And so maybe that's what someone is for you, is just relighting that flame and recognizing then that you need to take over, that you need to believe in you. Right? So like a little over a year ago, when I was at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom and recognized that like not my mother, not anyone else believed in me, I didn't believe in me, like this one person showed up who believed in me. And he just said, I believe in you. I know you're going to get through this. I know you're going to move forward. I know you're going to help a lot of people. And it was just like that one message that I got that I was like, yes, I can do this, So if you're waiting for that one voice to relight your pilot flame, let that be my voice right now, giving you permission, if that's what you're waiting for, to relight that flame for yourself, to find that belief inside yourself, to believe in yourself and know that you can do it, that you're going to keep figuring it out. You're going to keep finding the way forward. Let me pass that forward by saying, I believe in every one of you, even if you don't know it yet, but you're listening to my voice right now. I believe in you. You can do it. You are worth it. And you have no idea yet what the cost could be of you giving up. Right? You don't know how many people's lives you might not get to change for the better because you gave up, because you didn't believe in yourself. And even if you help one person change their life for the better, it was worth it. So believe in yourself and recognize that you do have power, right? Because the old victim mentality is to be stuck in the helplessness, in the powerlessness, and thinking that you don't have power, that there is no other choice, that there's nothing you can do about it, and you just have to sit around and waiting for that one person to love you. That's not it. That's going to keep you stuck in that victim spiral. Right? You got to realize you got to do it for you. You got to believe in yourself. You got to stand up. You got to recognize you have a choice to enter that dance or not, and forgive yourself for the past, for not seeing it. You didn't know better, right? But now you know better. And now you can see your childhood and recognize that what happened to you was messed up and that was really unfair. It really was. And it did really set you back in your life, but it was for a bigger reason. It was for some reason to help you find it within yourself. Because when no one else believes in you, that is exactly your opportunity to believe in yourself. So self-love comes from self-care. It's not like you sit in front of the mirror and you're like, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And then you just start to believe it. Ross and I were talking about that a little bit in the interview I did with him a few months ago. He said it's not about that. It's about the self-care work. I agree 100%. Right? My self-love built as my self-care improved. So you got to take care of yourself and start with your mind. Start with where you're putting your attention. Start with your mindset. And if your one mental perspective shift of today is that you recognize now that you do have power there. You're not powerless. You're not helpless over what happened to you. You can take the reins of your destiny in your hands, and you can create the future that you want. You can cultivate that sense of self-love, which then radiates out. And then you have this much better radar of understanding who these people are that are coming into your life. Do they really love me? Do they really respect me? It's going to become a lot clearer the more that you love yourself, the more that you respect yourself. And the more that you love and respect yourself, the more you're going to start to attract people who are treating you on that level. So forgive yourself for the past. Empower yourself with the power of choice and self-responsibility now and moving forward. You can do it. Big hug to you.